Hey, what's going on, guys? John Lee here with another video. So yeah, this is my favorite hoodie. Go fuck yourself. I'm making this video because once again I went to get cigarettes this morning, and the reason I'm being an asshole about this, scanning my ID shit, is because for fuck's sake, I'm 40 years old. I'm so tired of being carded. And this particular Casey's, I live in a small town. So every person in there knows me, except when they hire, a couple new people. But I started looking that shit up, and, it looks and it sounds and appears to me that these businesses are wanting to know more information about their customers, who's shopping at their store. I have a driver's license. It says that it's legal and valid. It shows when my birth date is. That's all I'm pretty sure that I have to do to be able to buy cigarettes. It's all anybody has ever had to do to buy cigarettes or alcohol. You got to show ID. So when the cashiers, I know that they're going to say, they ask you, can I see your ID? And, a person's initial thought, it's so deceptive. Because to see my ID doesn't mean you want to hold my ID. And then there's people behind me, so we have to have this awkward conversation about why would you need to hold my ID? Or are we talking about see my ID or hold my ID? Which soon becomes scan my ID. And it's like, I've been coming into this fucking store for 3 fucking years. And they don't fucking know, first of all, who the fuck I am. I've bought cartons of cigarettes. I've bought hundreds of packs of cigarettes in there. I've bought alcohol in there. I mean, what in the holy motherfuck is going on with these assholes trying to collect all my fucking data? Okay, we're in this data technological warfare zone constantly now, ever since all these big tech companies, and I'm in the service industry of collecting and providing data as a service. But I'll be damned if I'm going to let people scan my ID just to shop. I'm not going to come into your gas station. But the weird thing is if you want to know where the fuck I live, just ask me. It's a small town. I'll tell you, I live 2 blocks over. But you don't need to play this shady shit can I see your ID? Which is for 30 fucking years, which is normal and what I have been doing all my life. But now all of a sudden you asking to see my ID means you want to take my ID, hold it, and then scan it because it has a lot of more data that comes with just knowing if I'm old enough to buy them. You don't need to know my sexual preference. You don't need to know my home address. You don't need to know my driver's license number. You don't need to know my social security number. You don't need to know any of that stuff. My height, my weight, everything that is on your driver's license, I believe, when they scan it, is uploaded into their database. And I was reading that these people are just wanting the information on who's coming into their store. And it's what are you doing with that fucking information? And why in the fuck are you collecting data on me without my consent? Asking to see my ID is not me consenting to you having all my personal fucking personal information on file or in a database somewhere. I just think it's really fucked up. Let me know what you think. Drop your comments below. I'm John Lee. If you like videos like these, be sure and hit that like and subscribe button for me. And ring the bell for notifications. I'm on to the next one. Oh, one last thing. So the fucked up thing is what I noticed is what it's really like to be an American, which is you either go along. So I'm standing in line and, there's no accountability. Why is this change going on? What do you need to scan my shit for? Where is that information going? Do you even know what information you're collecting? And they act like, oh, it's nothing. We'll get a fine or, we'll get in trouble and we could lose our job and we're just, doing what we're told and that's all fine. Or is it? So I'm standing in line and, all of a sudden the line's getting longer behind me and I'm just asking for a little bit of accountability and wondering why this is going on and what all information they're collecting, and kind of wanting to know why. I mean, consent may be old-fashioned, but I still feel like it's something that I'm entitled to. There's that entitlement again. It's a real bitch, but just because society says this is the direction you should go, if it doesn't feel right, then it's probably not. At the end of the day, what ended up happening? So they're basically kind of acting like, well, we may not sell you the cigarettes. And I'm like, well, I keep walking out of the store every time you guys ask me to scan my shit. And so, they kind of did some fidgeting with their register, and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, and they rang up my shit, but it was an issue. It was a conflict that I had to address on the spot, but they sold me my cigarettes, and fuck it. So it was just really confusing and awkward, and I just don't think that's good business. Okay, babe, so tell me what you just told me a minute ago.
That when I go into Casey's, they never ask me for my ID. They barely even ask me for my birthday.
That's so fucked up. Fuck you, Casey's.